Let me just add. Hi everyone. Gemma. Today we are going live with a guest to learn about how we can tap on the wisdom of Jinky 19 in our life and business. And we have invited Gemma as our guest to share with us the wisdom of Jinky 19.
Oh, hang on. There we
Hi.
go. Hello.
Hi, Gemma.
Hello. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Excited. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, so excited to have you here today. Yeah, so today we are going to talk about drinking 19, which our son is currently transiting in. And we'll have our Gemma share with us on some wisdom that she has gained while integrating drinking 19 in her life and her business. And this Jinky has been the sun has been this transiting in this Jinky since 28th of January. And if you're like me who don't have this Jinky in my chart, you would have you will be able to experience this energy for the last few days. Yeah, so Jinky 19 moves from the shadow of codependence to the city of sacrifice through the way of sensitivity. So let's learn more about Jinky 19 from Gemma today. So first, Gemma, tell us more about you and your work.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me, Jane. And yeah, a little bit about me. So I am an intuitive coach. The work that I do is about energy alignment. I work with highly sensitive leaders and entrepreneurs to help them to align their energy to being their best selves. So I won't tell you my whole story, but just a little bit of my background. I used to have really such extreme anxiety that I couldn't speak to like 5 people in a meeting at work. And I went from that to speaking on stage and doing a TEDx. And through that process was all about understanding that I was a highly sensitive person, understanding what I needed for my own energy alignment. And I now help my clients to do the same. And obviously, as Jane said, I've got Gene Key 19, which is why we're here. And now I know this. Like, I only learned Gene Keys in the last year. So now I know this, like my whole life makes sense. But at the time, I thought that was anxiety or something that was mine, like trauma I had to heal, but actually it was just that gene key playing out. So really excited to kind of bring that into conversation today.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to work with Gemma last year twice, and it's really fun working with her. Yeah, so
Mm.
Gemma, tell us more about maybe let us know which spheres in your Jinkies profile does Jinky 19 show up.
Yeah, so I've just got it in front of me because it's more like it's sort of it's kind of a living and breathing thing for me now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yeah, so in my gene keys, it shows up in both my pearl and my culture sphere. So I knew this, like reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not surprised it shows up twice in my profile. It explains my whole life.
Yeah. So how has it tell us more about your experience in these two like Jinky 19 in these two spheres within your life. So what have you uncovered through the shadows of Jinky 19?
Mm. Yeah, so what's been really interesting for me here is how this codependence shadow side played out was around people pleasing. And the phrase that the first ever HD reading I had, actually, the phrase that the lady used was setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like this is me, like this is my whole life. So I really have had to work hard to transform that, which I think a lot of us will resonate with anyway, whether we have 19 or not. Transform that, like that feeling that like we have to, like as empaths and highly sensitive, we have to be there for everybody else, and giving so much energy, and how we need to give that energy to others. Because we're feeling it, it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to fix it, but we can learn from a very young age that that feeling of that energy, we want to resolve it and we want to fix it. So for me, it's been really transforming that and stepping out of that codependent space in my whole life, not just in my relationships, actually, like in my whole life. And that's also translated into my work and into my business as well. And I was really lucky enough to find the ICF and do an ICF coaching qualification. And what that enabled me to do was to step into a place of empowerment where I was doing proper coaching and holding that space for people where actually I didn't need to go in and fix them. Actually, by stepping back, that empowered them to come forward. It empowered them to make even more amazing shifts. But for me, it's been that real shadow of like feeling like I have to fix everyone because I can feel everything, and stepping out of that into that space of empowerment, into that space of those sensitivities are my gifts. And then not only that, but through my Gene Keys profile, through my sensitivity comes abundance. So it's like, if I want to receive money, then I have to step into that even more. Like that is like at the root, literally the root of chakra. Like it is at the root of everything that I do, and I have to look after it. I have a real life example of this as well the other day, which was just amazing. And this is where these voices come in. It was my partner's birthday. It wasn't her actual birthday, but it was the meal with her family. And I woke up that day, I had a sore throat, my tonsils were sore. I knew I was starting to come down with something. And I've done a lot of work on my people pleasing. And there were these really loud voices saying, it's her family, what are they going to think of you? It's her birthday meal, what's she going to think of you? Like, we'd already had a lovely birthday for her, but these voices were still coming in. And then there was these other voices that have kind of, which is like my higher self coming in and going, you need to put yourself first. And it was like an American sort of style restaurant. There's going to be lots of greasy food and fries, and there was a higher voice going, yep, I hear you, but is this really like going to be what is right for you? And are you going to be the best partner possible from this place? And it was just like, no. So I made the decision and I said, I'm really sorry, like I'm not coming. That is just not, like, it's not in alignment for me. I need to take care of myself. I made that decision, and half an hour later, £500 came into my bank account, completely out of the blue, as a gift from a family member. And I was just like, oh my gosh, universe, thank you. And that is exactly what Gene Key 19 is about. It's like when we let go of all those people pleasing and we put ourselves first, and we let go of all those shadows about being codependent and fixing, or judgments from others, or what we should, I should go to this meal, and we let that all go, we'll find that something drops in, and that's how we start to receive, because we're energetically in alignment through that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. And yeah, it's like when you learn about how actually owning this, empowering yourself, and like taking back your power, it actually opened the door to allow abundance to come into your life, isn't it? Yeah, and you mentioned about people pleasing, and I totally can see that shadow playing out throughout my life, where I have to make everyone happy, and if not, so it's recognizing this, bring awareness to this, is like taking our power back, feeling like being empowered, and allow others to take their power back and allow them to be empowered, isn't it? Yeah, so yeah, and you mentioned about like sensitivity being our superpowers, right? And especially with Gene Key 19 in your like you have 2 spheres. Yeah, so in the traditional like old paradigm, some people see that sensitivity is like weak. We often hear people say that in the past, and I'm sure like many of us don't agree with that anymore. So, and I recently read a phrase saying sensitivity is a gift of pure strength. What is your view on this?
I love that saying, a gift of pure strength. Yeah. So I would say the first, I would say 28 to 30 years of my life, like I believe my sensitivities were like such a bad thing. But now I can see it. I can now look back and I can see it, and I can see how they are a real gift. And like you say, with it appearing twice in my profile as well, this is the magic with my clients. So I've got a one-to-one client at the moment, and she will just say, like, I don't know, she won't even, like, doesn't even need to say a lot, and it's like I just intuitively know what's going on for her, and I I can then play that back and I can ask her questions, and she's like, how did you get that from just that? And it's like a deep inner knowing, and I'm sure those listening will resonate with that. It's like we have these deep inner knowings about people around us, about our clients, about what it is that the world needs. Like, we even kind of, we can shift this into like that rebellion in a way, because it's like we feel it. So, right, what can we do to change it? Like, not in a codependent way, in a really empowered way. And this is how we really tap into that gift. But we've got to transmute that shadow of codependency. Otherwise, like the phrase that lady used, setting yourself on fire to keep others warm, we're not going to be in that place where we talk about like well-being, our cup being full. It's almost like that. We're not going to have a full cup to actually be able to make these transformative changes in the world if we're not doing the basic things like putting ourselves first. So for me, like that, that's a small example of me not going to that meal. That was just like, right, this is not a hell yes anymore because I'm not feeling great. What's a hell yes right now is for me to get in bed or have a salt bath. Like, that's my hell yes right now, and I need to follow that, and then everything gets into alignment. So it's by feeling our sensitivities and taking care of ourselves is like sort of step one, and then step two is that kind of unlocks those gifts, and we can then use our sensitivities once we've got the basics in place and we've got the boundaries in place, and we transform that people pleasing, we can then like step into this place of magic where we can transform lives, because we're able to know exactly what it is that people need. And that's, I feel that so deeply. I had another example of that yesterday. A client got on a call, and at the start of the call I thought, this is what she's got going on, but I kept quiet. And then at the end of the call, after we sort of done the coaching session, she said, I've been wanting to say this thing the whole session, but I didn't feel like I could. And she said it, and it was my gut feel right at the start. And I said, I'm glad you said it, because I felt that as soon as you joined the call, so I already knew. So it's like that. It's just really magical.
Yeah, I can see how that is a superpower playing in your work, in your coaching. Yeah, and when people start owning this sensitivity as their superpower, they are going to do so much magic within their world, their life, their business, everywhere they go, right? Yeah, and I think something that you said made me feel that this is something that Jinky 19 is teaching us, which is taking care of ourselves, filling our own cup first and letting it overflow to others, so that we can, that's how we serve others to the best of our abilities. And I really feel like this is one of the teachings that the energy of Jinky 19 is here to teach us.
Yeah, it is indeed. That's what we're all here to do. So whether you've got Jinky 19 or not, if you are highly sensitive, we are here to be in alignment, because the planet has shifted. We're here to be in alignment with the planet and to show everyone else. We're all here to be role models. And I think so many of us have to transform that belief that like we're different, therefore we're not good enough in some way. Like, that's a belief a lot of us take on. But actually the truth is we're different because we're here to be that role model, to walk that path and be that leader and do, make that revolutionary change in the world, which ties, I know, with your Jinky, Jane, which is that kind of bringing that to life and actually creating that social change. That's what we're all here to do. So we really have to take responsibility for ourselves, but equally we have to take responsibility for why we're here. And it's such a beautiful way to take responsibility by that place of like self-love, self-care, which ultimately transforms the whole planet, which I just love.
Yeah, I love that too. Like more and more of us are becoming more conscious, like we say we are conscious leaders in the new paradigm, and we are really
Mm,
here, like, all of us has this unique calling that we are answering through the work where we do. And really
mm,
it's like, yeah, it's really really taking care of ourselves first, where we after taking care of ourselves, we can really bring our true essence out, our what we call our truth out, and then really spread this love, this message, our magic out into the world through our clients. And I heard you keep mentioning highly sensitive, and I remember finding out about HSP first time through
mm,
you, which is highly sensitive persons or people,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us more about HSP.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued. It'd be really interesting actually to look at, like, this is where my deep side comes in, and like it'd be really interesting to kind of like look at the high, like who is highly sensitive, and then who has gene key 19, who has 49. Like we could like map it out if we had some data. It'd be really cool. That's my geek side. Yeah. So the highly sensitive person is some research by a psychologist called Elaine Aron. And how I found this, which has transformed my whole life and business, is one day I was in the car driving to a retreat, which was just like the most perfect timing that I could have done it. And I was listening to a podcast, and she said, she was talking about emotions, and then she said something HSP. Oh, because I am HSP, I do this, this, and this. And she was describing me, and I thought, what does this mean? And I went and Googled it, and that's when I found Elaine Aron's work. So, what it basically, on a neuroscientific level, there are 15 to 20% of the population of all mammals, actually. So, all mammals. I've actually got a highly sensitive dog, which is just kind of like just so happened when I became a stepdog mum. And yeah, 15 to 20% of mammals have more sensory receptors in their brain. And this is at birth. What I have learned, I guess, through my own experience is if we, let's say we, like, this is my experience, if we have like an anxious mother when we're in the womb, that can create it. So although it's innate, and it's innate in 15 to 20% of the population, it can be created in those early years as well when the brain is developing. So yeah, so we've basically got more sensory receptors in our brain, and that, when I see it like that, it really helps me to understand it and make sense of it, because there are like little things like I don't go to the supermarket, not the big ones anyway, I'll go to the little ones, but like the big supermarkets with the bright lights and the noises and the people, um, that can like that can set me back for the day if I do that. And having that knowledge that I've simply got more receptors in my brain, and there's more little like sensory bit going, oh, lights, noise, music, people, just helps me to like accept that and be a bit kinder to myself. Like I used to think I had like some kind of trauma, like why have I got trauma about the supermarket? And when I used to work in London, I was constantly getting hypnotherapy, saying to her like, I seem to have this issue with London makes me anxious, and we could never find the root cause. Like we were thinking maybe it was something in my, in my childhood that had like made me scared of London, but it wasn't. It was just literally overwhelmed. So having that knowledge, I think, can really help us. And it's the evolutionary advantage as well. So Elaine Aron talked about it in terms of when we were sort of tribal, there would be those few members of the tribe that were sensitive, and they would be at the edge of the tribe, and they would like be up a hill. I mean, I've even got wise women on the hill in my human design as well, like in my sixth line, that role model. And so it kind of comes out almost three times for me, really. And they would be on the hill, and they would be like on the lookout for danger. So they would get the first sense that something was happening, and they could come back to the tribe and say, I'm sensing danger, I'm sensing some changes here, something's not right, we need to do something about it. So this is like always been throughout history, tribes, there's always been 15 to 20% of mammals that are highly sensitive. And yeah, it's just basically that difference in brain structure. And also that knowledge, I think, of knowing that there's like 15 to 20% of us, but a lot of us are kind of masking it. I know I did for a lot of years. So I used to be, I used to train leaders to be coaches in a blue chip organization, and like I had like the perfect career, like on the surface. Behind the scenes I was a mess, but you know, I would show up, you know, in London with, you know, my fancy outfit and you know, go along to the meetings. Inside I was screaming, and I was actually just masking a lot of it. And as soon as I got on that train to go home, and that train left the station, the tears would just come. They'd just come, and they'd come, and they'd come, and I'd think, oh, why am I upset again? But it was just like, it was just the overwhelm, and it was just energy leaving me. So yeah, and everything Elaine Aron talks about in her book. So for anyone watching, The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Aron, fantastic book to start your journey of awareness of this stuff.
Yeah, when you talk about masking, it reminds me of when I first found out about HSP from you. And when I do the test, then I didn't know that other people are not as sensitive to lights and sounds. I thought it's like a normal human thing to be sensitive. So, you know, like bright lights is so glaring that I cannot stare at it for more than 1 second. Even it's just make me uncomfortable. And yeah, I thought it's just a normal human thing until you brought it up to me, and I feel like this awareness, having more people being aware, like they might be highly sensitive, and owning it as their superpower and use it within their work can be, this awareness, it will really benefit us.
Definitely. Yeah, and we have to, like you say, we have to inform others, don't we? Because they don't, like, I walk around like in that mindset. You kind of think, oh, like surely these lights are too bright for everyone. And so like we do almost have to, there's like a heart-centered courageousness that comes with that, of actually saying like, this is me and this is what I need. I went to a wedding a few weeks ago, and the wedding was lovely during the day. It was outside, but at night time there was a lot of, I really struggle with alcohol energy, like from others, not even if I'm not drinking. And there was a lot of alcohol energy. There was a lot of like dark trauma, I think, coming out as well. And this wedding just got too much for me. And I just said, this is making me feel really unsafe. I need to leave. But majority of people around me just had no idea of what was actually going on. And I imagine probably woke up very hungover the next day and blamed it all on the alcohol. So there's almost like there is a responsibility piece, I feel, to sort of share about this and talk about what it is that we need and what our boundaries are and things like that. I feel like that's that kind of heart-centered courage, isn't it, where we can be really strong from that really loving place.
Yeah, I think something like people always say tough love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I once told my friends that I can get drunk based on smelling alcohol, and they were like laughing at me, and they just don't believe me. But it's like just being in that environment where there's alcohol everywhere, it just gives me headache, make me feel uncomfortable. And so now I know that I'm not alone.
You're not alone. It is a thing. It is absolutely a thing. Alcohol energy. It's totally a thing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's summarize today's interview up. So, what would you recommend, or what advice would you give to someone who would like to integrate this gift of sensitivity, or maybe uncover this gift of co-dependence, like bringing this gift into their life and business?
I would say start small, start making small steps, and if they feel uncomfortable, that is normal because we are reconditioning. But just ask yourself every day, like even having like a mindfulness practice every day and asking yourself, what is it that I need today? And showing up for yourself by following through with that thing, as uncomfortable as that is, like, and just putting yourself first. Like that is simply it. When people ask me how I did a TEDx, like they want to know, like, how did you like prepare a speech and how did you do this and this and this? And I say, I just took care of myself. Like that was it. I hid in the car for a lot of the day and meditated. Like it's just those simple things, like what do I need right now? Food, sleep, rest, meditate, like whatever that thing is. Like just start with the basic needs. Ask yourself what you need. If the answer doesn't come straight away, that's okay. Sometimes just asking it is enough to just put that awareness. And it's from there that you can then start to tap into this gift. And that is what's going to transform that shadow, just those really small steps that start with you from that, like we said, that tough love, but that's, you know, really loving to yourself and others in that space of like, yeah, boundaries, needs, and start small. You know, start small and you'll get there.
Yeah, thank you for the recommendations. I absolutely agree with starting small. The small steps are really what really matters too. Yeah, tell us how we can connect or how to work with you or anything that you're working on currently.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so you can connect with me on here. I'm pointing on Instagram. I am Gemma Sandwell. My website is gemmasandwell.com. And I have got an offer on at the moment, my Authentically You course, which is all about embracing our sensitivities and who we are. That is just £27 at the moment. That is on offer. If anyone would like to, you know, try something out that's super, super affordable and see what I'm about, then yeah, or just drop me a message. More than happy if anyone's got any questions, drop me a message, pop them in the live. I can come back and if people are watching the replay, I can come back and answer some questions. That's absolutely fine as well. Yeah, thank you. And so lovely. I'm so excited, like, that we did this. I was just like, this is a hell yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Thank you, Gemma, for all her valuable insights. And I hope anyone watching this live or in the replay would have some great takeaways and some recommendation from Gemma on how to have more self-love, self-care, and setting boundaries and the small steps that you can take to actually integrate this gift of sensitivity into your life and your work. And thank you so much, and we'll see you around. Thank you, Gemma.
Thanks,
Bye.